Hi there, and welcome to the New York School of Design's Intro to Digital Design. My name is Vidal Seiferle Valencia, and I'm a fashion designer here in New York City. You can also create a ruffle brush, which is very useful because ruffles are extremely time-consuming to draw. And to do so, I always like to have these two lines here as an axis because you want this to be, it will be repeating over and over again. So I want this to make sure when it's repeating that it is at a nice angle, it's following this axis. It always starts at a 90-degree angle like this. And that's just so it repeats nicely. So if we draw this general shape, we can, as you can see, if I take away this line here, it does go straight up. So if we follow this general shape, each one of these is just drawing with the pen tool. And I've created some little lines here to indicate some creases or some drag lines. We can then apply our variable widths, and I've utilized this one here. You could use whichever one you feel like is going to make the most sense for you, or whatever one fits your design aesthetic. I like this one for this case here, and I've added it to all of my lines, so it looks all nice and like hand-drawn. It has a nice quality to it. I'm going to select all of these pieces here, and I actually want them to align at the bottom because I want the creases to look like they're coming out of whatever seam is happening, or I don't want them just floating in the middle of my ruffles. And so once I have that, I can just select all except for this seam here, and I can group them together. And once I've selected that, I can just create my new brush here, click Pattern Brush again, click OK, OK, and once I've applied this, you can see I have my ruffle. Now, when I change the scale, it's going to repeat a little bit more often, but this can be really, really convenient and a super time saver for if you're drawing ruffly tops or dresses or anything that has a ruffle detail. Being able to do it with a brush is going to make everything a lot smoother for you. And so, typically with some of these pattern brushes, you cannot actually adjust the fill in and of themselves. And so, for instance, this one will always be white, and when I add this fill to it, it actually just adds it from the point to point as if it was like a curve or a path, and it's just filling in the area. So that's not exactly what we want, and sometimes we want it to be able to match our CADs. And so if you're CADing up something in this color, let's say, you actually have to add the fill into your object before you create the brush. And so I'm just going to do this very quickly by copying and pasting this over here. I'm going to delete this because I don't need it right now. I'm going to take my scissors tool, and I'm just going to cut at each point that I want to join eventually. So I'm going to cut here. I'm going to cut here. I'm going to cut here. I'm going to delete the points that I'm cutting away. And you'll see now I can just select all of these. I can do Command J for join. And then I'm going to extend this one straight down by holding Shift. So now I have this rough outline. I'm going to make it the fill color that I want. I'm just going to pick that red color, and I'm going to get rid of the stroke. So now I have something that looks pretty much exactly like the shape that I want, and I'm going to send it to the back. And I'm going to include this in my selection when I'm making my brush. So I'm going to select all of this. I'm going to click the plus. I'm going to click Pattern Brush, and I'm going to click OK. And again, that is then going to create my red ruffle. What's happening here is actually one of these points, these tails from the anchor point, was just getting pulled out of whack. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a slip here because my fill is actually cutting in a little bit. So if I were to want to fix that, I would just make sure I'm selecting the background, and I want to just make it like straight up and down like that. I would redo it, and then that would get rid of that there.